This podcast is made possible by the listener members of Nashville Public Radio.
This is the Nashvillager Podcast. It's May 6, 2026, and if she were still alive today, this would have been the 103rd birthday of the woman once known as the First Lady of Tennessee politics. I'm Nina Cardona, and this is your daily digest of what's happening around Middle Tennessee with historical context from Nashville Public Radio, WPLN News. There's a lot of politicking going on at the State House right now. We had an election day yesterday. We're going to cover those items coming up in the newscast. But what more appropriate day to remember someone who was very politically involved? Her name was Annabelle Clement O'Brien. Her dad was a mayor, her brother was the governor, her husband was the Chief Justice of the Tennessee Supreme Court. Her nephews, niece, and nephew-in-law all held notable positions too. But she wasn't given that First Lady nickname because of the people she was related to. She had her own significant career in direct public service of her own. From 1930 on, when she was 7, Annabelle grew up west of Nashville in Dixon. Her father was the city attorney for decades and mayor for a while too. The family was incredibly involved in politics, to the point that her brother once said his political career began when he was just 10. Now, this was a time when a great stump speech was vital to any campaign, and Frank credited their aunt with giving him lessons in how to deliver an excellent speech. And given how things turned out later with Annabelle, I suspect she had her own training from that aunt, too, even if there wasn't much expectation at the time that a girl would grow up to need that skill. Even when they were still in school, Frank knew Annabelle would have a role to play. She later shared that when they were teenagers, he said the day would come that he would run for governor. And when he did, he hoped that she would stop whatever else she was doing and help him run. Well, that day came in 1952. Frank Clement ran an against-all-odds campaign for the governor's office with his sister Annabelle as his right-hand woman. Clement challenged a veteran politician in the Democratic primary and won, becoming Tennessee's youngest governor at the age of 32. Annabelle had some secretarial experience, and she found a role to play in the administration running the office for the agriculture commissioner. After a while, her brother pulled her into his own office and made her his chief of staff, the first woman to hold that kind of role. In that position, she helped him achieve a vision for the state that the two of them had talked about as kids, providing free textbooks to Tennessee school children. Members of the legislature would later say she also played an important part in other achievements of her brother's administration, like creating the state's first mental health department. That was a big step forward in modernizing and bringing a greater dose of humanity to the way the state helped people who have mental illnesses. Annabelle stepped back from the workplace for a while when she got married in 1966 to a man named Charles O'Brien. They'd met in the state house when he was a state senator from Memphis, but they actually both were ready for a change of pace. They moved to East Tennessee. He opened a law practice. Things quieted down for a while. But in 1970, he became a judge. A few years later, she was ready to go back to work in the state capitol. But this time, instead of being someone's assistant, she was itching for her own office. So in 1974, she ran and won a seat in the Tennessee House of Representatives on a platform of improving education, health care, rural roads, and better treatment for people with disabilities. And 2 years later, she ran for the upper chamber. Her campaign sign said, "A woman's place is in the House," and Senate, too. She was the second ever female senator in Tennessee. And before long, she was the first woman to chair a Senate committee in this state, heading up both transportation and the education committees. She became the leader of the Democratic caucus. And remember, Democrats had a strong majority at the time, so that was a profoundly influential role. During her legislative career, Senator O'Brien was diagnosed with breast cancer. She underwent a mastectomy and breast reconstruction. And in the process, she learned a lot about the barriers to care that many people with that condition faced. She sponsored bills requiring insurance coverage for mammograms and easing the way to sue when a breast implant turns out to be defective. She was also the driving force behind making it legal for Tennesseans to create living wills and refuse unwanted medical treatments at the end of life. In 1982, Annabelle attempted to follow directly in the footsteps of her brother Frank. She mounted a campaign for governor. That time, she lost in the primary, but she was able to retain her Senate seat and ended up serving 22 years in the legislature. Now, remember how I said Frank got lessons in public speaking from an aunt? The reason I suspect she did too is that Annabelle Clement O'Brien was known throughout her political career as a really excellent speaker. She spoke on the Senate floor and in her own campaigns, of course, but before that, she campaigned for her brother. She talked to community groups right through the last years of her life, and she was an in-demand speaker at campaign fundraisers. She had a catchphrase, always delivered just after taking the podium. Politics is a beautiful word to me. In fact, it made such a big impression that the legislative resolution honoring her retirement started that way too. And it went on to quote additional phrases that she often emphasized. She would say, "I believe with all my heart that politics makes handicapped children walk. Politics builds these highways. Politics makes education more accessible to everyone. Politics makes the mentally ill have a better life. Politics helps working people, senior citizens, and children." She didn't see a line dividing politics from public service. She emphasized the opportunity to make government work on people's behalf. And when things got heated on the Senate floor and it seemed like her fellow legislators were more focused on making points than making a difference, she had a reputation for being the one to step in, calm things down, and remind everyone of what they were supposed to be doing, helping people. Annabelle Clement O'Brien lived a long life. She retired from office in 1991, but kept showing up at public events for many more years. She died in 2009 at the age of 86, and her name lives on in the form of a college scholarship given each year by the Tennessee Federation of Democratic Women. They pick 3 high school senior girls, one from each of the state's grand divisions. The criteria is that they must have good grades, strong recommendations, and a dream of using politics to make this world a more beautiful place. In just a few minutes, this week's edition of What We're Wednesday. That's coming up after the newscast.
Tennessee lawmakers are back at the Capitol this week to consider new congressional maps to eliminate the state's lone Democratic seat in Congress. I'm Mariana Baca-Yao, and you can find live updates on this special session online at WPLN.org.
Here's the latest from WPLN News. Hundreds of protesters gathered at the Tennessee Capitol yesterday as lawmakers began a special session to consider splitting Memphis's Democratic stronghold into reliably red congressional districts. Lawmakers will likely have only 3 days to redistrict, a process that usually takes months. Tennessee NAACP President Gloria Sweetlove decried the redistricting effort before a crowd of protesters.
I want you to get mad, not angry. I want you to get mad. Because when we get mad, we fight. And when we fight, we win.
Republicans struck down Democratic proposals to give the public more feedback in the redistricting process. GOP leadership quashed efforts to hold public meetings with constituents or to release the proposed maps publicly 72 hours before a final vote. Nashville voters have chosen a new county clerk. Sharon Hurt, former 2-term at-large Metro Council member, was elected yesterday to take over the role after the longtime clerk retired. This was part of a local primary election, mostly deciding judicial, school board, and clerk seats. Well, technically a primary, there were 0 Republican candidates on the ballot, making the election a decisive one. Other winners include Joseph Day, who narrowly hung on to his role as circuit court clerk. Jody Bell was reelected as a judge on the General Sessions Court. Dawn Diener and Corlitra Mance beat out sitting judges on the criminal and circuit courts. Incumbents held onto their positions on Nashville's school board. 2 faced challengers, but won easily. Berthina Naba McKinney, the board's current vice chair, is on her way to another term. Among her goals will be closing the achievement gap and improving communications between families in the district. In District 6, Cheryl Mays retains her seat and is vowing to continue monthly meetings with constituents. 2 other board members won unopposed, Rachel Ann Elrod and Aaron O'Hara Block. The results maintain a school board with a steady resistance to expanding charter schools. The board recently rejected 4 more. Tennessee is set to execute Tony Carruthers on May 21st. His attorneys met with Governor Bill Lee yesterday to discuss clemency, according to a press release. They filed a petition on April 20th. It argues that Carruthers is likely innocent and notes that there was no physical evidence placing him at the scene. They say his conviction relied mostly on paid informant testimony. They also argue he's incompetent to be executed because of mental illness and brain damage. A federal investigation into Tennessee Congressman Andy Ogles may soon wind down without the FBI reviewing key evidence. News Channel 5 reports the U.S. Department of Justice has agreed to return or destroy evidence it seized from Ogle's phone and email. That's a sign that investigators could be dropping the case. Officials had been looking into potential campaign finance fraud dating to Ogle's first run for Congress 4 years ago. But his legal team argued the FBI shouldn't be allowed to look at the personal communications of a member of Congress. Ogles has also been expected to face a serious challenge in this fall's election, but the current redistricting effort underway at the State House could afford him some cushioning. Fewer people in Nashville are dying from drug overdoses. That's according to data from the Metro Public Health Department looking at the first quarter of this year. Deaths are down 35% compared to last year, thanks largely to expanded use of overdose reversal drugs, which the department gives out for free. Still, 80 people in Davidson County died of suspected overdoses in the first 3 months of this year. A spokesperson tells WKRN that fentanyl continues to be a leading contributor. The drug is present in about 70% of fatal overdose cases. A new youth mental health crisis center in Nashville is now open 24 hours a day and has plenty of capacity to help more kids, at least for now. Diana Jackson of Mental Health Co-op is the nursing director and tells This Is Nashville host Blake Farmer that cost should never get in the way.
We actually run off of state grants. So if an individual comes into our emergency psych center, they will never get a bill for any of the services.
Oh, not just that, you might be able to help out and cut your bill in half or something. There is not a bill.
Correct. There's no bill.
The center is located in North Nashville and has 15 beds. The rooms are designed to be safe for kids who may be at risk of hurting themselves. Children and teens do not need a referral. When they present at the crisis center, they can stay up to 5 days receiving intervention therapy. Nashville may be more buggy this year during a record warm spring. Insects like ants and moths and arachnids like ticks and spiders could be more active. But at the same time, WPLN's Caroline Eggers reports that the drought may be suppressing some bug species.
April was the hottest on record for Nashville, and March was the second hottest. That may mean more bugs, according to Belmont University entomologist Steve Murphy.
Their development can be accelerated by warmer temperatures, and we have had those even though it's been dry.
Nashville has also been in severe drought, which could lessen or delay some bugs. Take mosquitoes. Murphy says for new babies to hatch in the spring, the eggs rely on either standing water or for creeks and rivers to go up during a heavy downpour, like the one last week.
The eggs can handle the being in the dry longer. They just have to wait until they're immersed in water.
The National Pest Management Association forecasts more ticks, chiggers, and mosquitoes in southern states this year. But Murphy says that's not exactly reliable, as it's hard to generalize for an area bigger than a city. Spring warmth, however, is one of the more consistent indicators of bug activity. Caroline Eggers, WPLN News.
You'll find more news anytime at WPLN.org. A neighborhood institution is celebrating a milestone, and you're invited to the party. Marquise will tell you more.
What am I to really do if I'm all the way in Chicago?
I'm Marquise Munson, here with another edition of Nashville Public Radio's What Where Wednesday, keeping you up to date with the happenings in Nashville this week. Starting tonight, Bruno Mars performs at Nissan Stadium. On Friday night, Bridget Calls Me Baby is at the OG Basement, and Gia Margaret performs at the Blue Room. Back at the Blue Room on Saturday night, WNXP presents Folk Bitch Trio, and White Reaper is at the Basement East. Also on Saturday, An Evening with David Byrne is at Ascend Amphitheater. We're back at the Basement East on Sunday for WNXP Presents Dry Cleaning with Hotline TNT, and Ari Lennox is at the Ryman. A jam-packed Tuesday wraps up the week with shows from Earth, Wind & Fire, The Far Side, Mac DeMarco, El Mean, and Whitney. For more events, visit WNXP.org/events.
Won't you speak your mind? It's plenty of time. So tell me about the way that you feel. What you really feel.
This week for What We're Wednesday, we feature the Turnip Truck Block Party happening at their East Nashville location on Saturday, as Nashville's locally owned full-service natural grocery will celebrate 25 years.
My name is Jaron Rowland. I'm the coordinator of marketing for Turnip Truck Natural Market. Our founder, John Dyke, moved here in the late 90s, I believe. Late 90s, early 2000s. He was raised on a farm. So he saw a real need for whole foods and real foods within the community. And he set out on a mission, and he made it happen. And for 25 years, we've been serving this community, and this community knows us well, and they support us with everything they have. I started actually coming to the Turnip Truck as a child, but we started in 2001 off of 5 Points. And we're all natural local grocer, full service. That means we do juices, smoothies, we do deli sandwiches. We have house-made sushi that we make every day, guacamole, hot bar, salad bar, full grocery department, meat, seafood, health and wellness, supplements, body care, the whole shebang. And kind of like all natural, so that means we do not carry any artificial ingredients in our food. And we're locally born, man. We started in Nashville and been trucking away since 2001 for 25 years. But yeah, just keeping things in the community, keeping that sense of community strong within Nashville. You know, we've been through several, the tornado that came through, just all of the different things, the ice storm that just happened, a few months back. So just being that hub for the community is very important to us.
Feed them about to starve these streets. Feed them nothing but that good health. Trap a forkful, I've been so thoughtful of feed you nothing but that good health.
There's some treats on them. You lack the minerals and vitamins.
This is food for thought. Many in my mental state. Don't cut that mental cake. Say grace.
We just want to celebrate. 25 years is a huge milestone for a local establishment, especially in this economy. So many of us, like Margot's, is celebrating her 25th this year, which is a cafe down the street in East Nashville, but she's also closing this year as well. So it's a huge milestone, huge achievement for Turnip Truck still to be standing and still serve the community. And the block party is just going to be a celebration of that. We got some artists coming out that are local. We're going to have Mike Grimey pull up, who's the owner of Grimey's. He's going to come out and do a DJ set for us. We also have Brittany Spencer, who was a former employee of the Turnip Truck, but she's going to come out and play a couple tunes for us.
I don't wanna be fooled again into thinking I found a friend in you. I'm new to this town, so just hanging out. Ain't just hanging out on the loneliest Saturday.
18 vendors in the parking lot, majority of which are local, and they're going to be sampling and highlighting some of their products. Yeah, it's gonna be a huge celebration, man. We're looking forward to celebrating with the community. I can't speak too much on it because obviously the CEO has his own vision, but I think it's still establishing ourselves in the communities. We have a location in East Nashville. We have a location in West Nashville off of Charlotte Avenue. We have a location in the Gulch off of 12th Avenue South, and we just opened up a brand new location at the top of last year in Midtown off of Broadway. So I think just getting our word out, letting Nashville know who we are, because there's such an influx of new people coming into Nashville every single day. So just getting the word out and letting Nashville, the newcomers, know who we are and let them know that we're here to serve them.
For more information on Turnip Truck Block Party and other events happening this week, visit WNXP.org. My name is Marquise Munson, and thank you for listening to another edition of What We're Wednesday.
Thanks for listening to the Nash Villager podcast. We take this look at Nashville news every weekday. If you like it, go ahead and subscribe on your favorite podcasting app and tell a friend or give us a mention on your socials. It really helps get the word out. And of course, everything at WPLN News is listener supported. You can become a member at WPLN.org. And that's it for today. Thanks so much for listening. Let's make this day a good one, and we'll catch back up tomorrow.